let me give you an idea of the political map of the Deccan during this period. The Deccan consisted at this point of time, while the French were trying to expand their power base in India, of primarily three regions: the Deccan Suba, of the Mughal Empire. This was to the north. The state of Bijapur on the eastern coast, and the state of Golconda on the western coast. What is the question asking? The French got the site of Pondicherry from which of these rulers? Batao. The obvious answer is Golconda, but that is not the case. ठीक है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा और background में जाते हैं. In 1636, who was the Mughal emperor at this point of time? Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan's forces had defeated both Bijapur and Golconda. ठीक है, this had resulted in a treaty in 1636, under which the rulers of Bijapur and Golconda were restored to their respective thrones. However, whose overlordship would they now have to accept? Mughal overlordship. They would also have to commit roughly 50,000 horses for the service of the Mughal Empire. They would have to provide military assistance whenever called upon. They would also have to provide an annual tribute. But they were granted complete autonomy in internal matters. Now, Bijapur and Golconda were the successors of which medieval sultanate in the Deccan? They were the descendants of the Bahmani Sultanate, है ना? Who were the traditional rivals of the Bahmani Sultanate? Vijayanagar Empire, which was now defunct. Gradually, it had disintegrated and power of the throne had been transferred to regional chiefs known as Nayakas. Now, those Nayakas were still continuing. Where? To the south of Bijapur and Golconda. However, the Mughal Empire was deeply interested in the trade of this region. What was this region known as? Coromandel. In India, it was traditionally known as the Chola Mandalam region. The British called it the Coromandel. Why? Not because it was ruled by the Cholas at one point of time, because they realized that the external trade from Gujarat is roughly 4 times smaller than the external trade happening annually from the Coromandel region. So, would they want the Coromandel to remain out of their control, or would they want to bring it under their control? In fact, they were feeling compelled to conquer Coromandel as well, and therefore, would they like it to remain under independent Nayakas, or would they like it to be conquered by their subordinates, Bijapur and Golconda? They would like it to be conquered by their subordinates, Bijapur and Golconda, and therefore, the treaty also provided that 1/3 of all new conquests in the south would go to Golconda, and 2/3 would go to Bijapur. Now, the area around Chandragiri, area around Pondicherry, etc., they had all been captured by Bijapur and Golconda sometime between 1630 and 1650. Okay? So, initially it was under the local Nayakas. Recently it had been captured by the Bijapuris and Golkondis. Now, this strip of land where Pondicherry would later be established came under the territory of Bijapur, and it was from them that the French had obtained the permission to establish their factory over here. So, correct answer क्या होगा इसका? A, the आदिल शाही सुल्तान of Bijapur. समझ में आया ना? याद रहेगा?